Madam President, ladies and gentlemen. Come to talk again about a number of familiar subjects in listening in the preceding meeting. Can't help but wonder how we ended up with a 7-story building, potentially not realizing that our fire truck wouldn't reach the top of it. It seems to me like that's something people should know. Having built a number of hospitals that were tall, this was consideration long before the structure was constructed, and certainly should have been considered early on. Again, I've always advocated a building department. Salem has chosen to abandon that and allow it to fall to the county, who has done the same and allowed it to fall to the state. And so we don't control building here in Salem. Instead, we somewhat control construction through our zoning department, which I find completely inappropriate, ineffectual, and inequitable. So what we have right now are probably 4 significant projects in the downtown. All of them have been stopped or stalled to some degree by our own actions. Now, we can do better than that, guys. I find myself in the very unusual position of agreeing with Mr. Nestick, which frightens me and makes me just kind of look at myself hard in the mirror. I think that although it's difficult to spend money at a time like this, if we do not certainly plan properly and correctly, and I'm still waiting for my phone to ring, Mr. Nestick, sit by it all day, every day, then we can't know exactly how to do this. But if we do not invest in industrial development in Salem, we will be hurt in the long run. We have lost industries that we should not have lost. We have people infusing money into our downtowns now, such as Mr. Pigeon, who are failing to help properly. We should be holding these people's hands and leading them along the way of developing our city. We should be bringing people into our city who have clean, good industry, who can support jobs and help our economy, which is slowly dissolving our income base because we just don't have the right industry growing in Salem. And that can be fixed through those efforts done properly. So I find myself agreeing that it is the proper place to spend money on good industrial development, old school industrial development, as I like to say. The final thing is, speaking of money and people trying to get money out of you, I'm going to try and get some money out of you tonight. All of you have a little bit of fun money to spend, I think, and we have a desperate need to initiate the CIC. The CIC needs to be funded to do any good. The county does have a CIC, and I'm looking into whether or not that can be used to take some of these problem buildings if we fail to do this. But there's no excuse or reason for us failing to initiate and start our CIC. It's the proper way to do these things. It should not have to be done by individuals. I have come to agreement with Salem Arts to take the Butler building in an attempt to get the Butler Art Gallery back into Salem. And I have asked the other involved attorneys through my attorney, if you haven't heard yet, you will be, that we sit down and try and have a settlement conference, as I'll be assuming a position in the suit potentially by the purchase of that building. I would like to get it resolved and resolved quickly. It's a horrible shame that we're talking about this again at the beginning of a winter. But we're very lucky that something traumatic hasn't happened yet, and we need to aggressively address that. And it needs not to be an individual doing this. It needs to be us as a city through a properly funded CIC. So what I ask you as council is to take some of your fund money, like $3,000 each, and fund that CIC. That's my challenge to you. What I am probably going to offer is when I become owner of the Butler building, I will have a shared responsibility and a common wall. And there will be a cost involved with demolition or repair to that wall. So what I will offer is to pay that value to the CIC at the point when that is assessed, either by a finding of fact by the court or through negotiations, to help to fund that as well. But it would help me immensely and help our efforts to get these buildings straightened up, which is the last remaining issue with our downtown, besides some parking issues that we've kind of skirted around. So that's my request. I would like you to seriously consider that for me. And I thank you all very much for everything.
Thank you, Mr. Cahill. Anyone else wish to address council tonight? Thank you all for participating.